I never really doing it recreational. I mean, maybe once, and I had a fun time, laughed a lot. But I really struggle with mental health from depression and like mood swings, and I've been very diligent at going to therapy and really looking at all areas of mental health. Especially last year, about this time, I had a minus crisis, if you would, and I went to the doctor, and they're like, started with antidepressants, and it just took me over the edge. They're like, give it a time, and then they will click. But instead of clicking and making me better, it was really worst. Like I was like literally losing my mind. I never felt so out of control, if you would, like anxiety skyrocket. I used to smoke marijuana as a recreational to relax, to help me, just chill. And it created the exact opposite effect. Marijuana just started really creating a lot of anxiety, very nervous, very at on ease. So I kind of had to quit everything. So I quit the antidepressants, I quit marijuana, I quit alcohol, and kind of just, cleanse. Talking to a friend, she suggests, like talked about this. And I also saw the Netflix movie about mushrooms. And so there's a lot of, if you start looking, there's a lot of research and people that start talking about it and how it helped with mental health. So again, another friend that is a nurse, she, started using them, and she said, I have seen a lot of change on myself. And, if you want, I can, help you and get on it so you can be a better life. I believe more on the natural side of things than the chemical. I'm not a fan of antidepressants. It's just, anyway, just another story. But so I did, and started in October of last year. And so for about until now, I've been doing it every other day and microdosing. I've never really done like a whole mushroom. I'm a little intimidated, if you would. I have two little kids. Well, they're 10 and 7. And so, being high on mushrooms, not my cup of tea. But again, I don't know if it was that, the sugar pill that you take it and you feel better just because you take it. And so I have no idea. But again, doing a lot of research, I've seen people that really has changed. I've seen definitely improvement. Like funny enough, like I went on vacation and I went to Mexico, so I didn't want to bring stuff to get, in trouble. And for the week that I did not take them, as I came back, I noticed my mood really starting to go down again. And so I was like, okay, so maybe and it's just like meditation, it's not something that you will be like, oh, today I just feel the best, but it's something that gradually it just feels better. I am in a better space. I'm, in a better place. And when I had my crisis last year, I went and saw a psychiatrist and talk about all of this. And he was like, look, if you are doing these mushrooms and it's working out for you, I don't want you to add medication to it. So why don't you just keep doing what you're doing? And he's like, I'm very curious, but as you know, it's very slowly getting into the medical side of things. But I'm curious, and I'm happy that you found something that you think is helping you. And so, here we are now. It's legal, and I'm just really, I want to help others. I was really fascinated by the studies and what has really created for people with post-traumatic, effects, and the naturality of it. I was raised in Mexico City, so I honor my culture. They use always natural stuff. The power of mushrooms is, even if regular mushrooms are, is just very healthy. And so I just really got motivated by the healthy side of things. And if it can help me with my mood, great. So, this is where I'm at right now. And I'm just very curious, and just, I want to get healthier and better. And again, if I can help others with this, I'm all about it. When I took the medication, like I explained, like it was like for 3 weeks. I was so anxious, over the edge. I was crying, remember being outside, like walking, like pacing in my house. I call a girlfriend and I'm like, I'm going literally crazy. I am having panic attacks. I remember I've never experienced that before in my life. I was just nervous about everything. I mean, I'm a marijuana user for about 15 years. That's where I really noticed my marijuana fun. It took the fun out of it. It became like I was chased by somebody. Until today, I feel like nobody's chasing you. What is your problem? It was really that anxiety that, my goodness, like I was in a very intense, Jason Bourne, they're chasing you and you better get out of it or you're going to die now. But it was inside my head. But with the mushrooms, so again, I stopped with that and I was like, they say it takes time. I'm like, I'm on week 4 and I'm going to seriously hurt myself because this is not. And well, we're going to try another one. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a guinea pig or keep trying stuff that is going to make me more crazy. I know that my body needs to do this, but no. So when I started with the mushrooms, it didn't feel like anything, or like, again, to give you an idea, if you drink a couple of drinks and then you feel happy, it wasn't like that. Or like marijuana, you smoke and you feel high. No, like I just ate it. And I usually, try to be very mindful about it. I usually do it in the morning and I eat my little, piece of mushroom and I do an intention and I, focus on something positive to work on that day. And then I go and meditate and then start my day. But I could personally, and I have, shared with a couple of friends, like I can personally not feel the difference. If, it was the day that I took the mushroom or the next day, I don't feel any difference. The only subtle difference is that my emotional has been better, like I definitely stopped having those panic attacks. Again, it's being very settled. It's not that I feel great, like Alice in Wonderland. I eat this piece and I feel, no, it's being very settled, continue it, same, not high, no low, but continue until like a month ago, I stopped, no, like 3 weeks ago, I stopped for 1 week and I started feeling like, oof, I'm more, on edge. I can feel myself getting angry quicker. Kind of, those paths that you always have in your mental health. Again, that was the first time I was like, ooh, so it is really working. I feel like this little thing, mushroom, is working. This friend of mine, she also has a channel, a YouTube channel. She's writing a book. And she shared this brain picture of what happens when you take the mushrooms. And that to me was key, because I'm a medical interpreter, have been for a long time. And so I'm a wannabe doctor. So I have really, being part of the medical scene. And so I like facts and I like to see things that are already proven and that you can relate to. So that to me was really inspiring and kind of like, okay, they show a brain with nothing on it and then a brain with the mushrooms, and the brain with the mushrooms, it just like the electric of the wires of your brain, how they magnify, if you would, and they start it's, I don't know, I just feel like happy waves, if you would, and so that to me really resonate of like, wow, so that is what is creating in your brain. And I didn't care for, getting crazy on mushrooms and having the time of my life. I was just looking for that, just that little power to really reconnect with, the wires of my brain that need to rewire on a positive note. My symptoms, they're not, I cannot really tell like, oh, today I ate mushrooms. I can feel that I feel happier than yesterday. It's more like I really do it as a medicine, and one day yes, one day no, one day yes, one day no. And the other thing that I noticed, and this is important, was like when I first started, it was very small. So I started really small. And so she mentioned it's like a grain of rice. That's what you're going to start with, from the stems of the mushrooms. And then for a couple of months, I'm like, I talked to my other friend. I'm like, I don't know if I'm feeling anything. She's like, well, maybe it's time for a little more, And so have you tried the caps? And I'm like, no, I'm a little intimidated. And she's like, well, just do very little. And so, and that really, I feel that was like a game changer. That's where I was like, okay, I feel that little kick in, it just made, again, it's very settled. It's hard to explain because it's not like, from gray to black or to white to blue, but just very settled. I just can feel it in my body being like, okay, I'm feeling a little happier today, or very settled. And so since then, I kind of just stay on that doses until now. I take the actual mushrooms, so I keep them in here. And if you see at the bottom, there's just a little, this will be maybe 2 weeks. Okay. So as you see, there is a cap. So this cap, I will divide it like a pizza. So maybe 4 or 6 pieces of the cap. The stem, before I will just take like a little piece, like this much, like this where my fingers are. And now I will do this to, compensate if it was the cap. So I will say I will have like a couple of weeks with this. I have a reminder every other day at 8 o'clock in the morning to take my medicine. And so when my friend suggests to chew it with the front teeth so it doesn't stick in your, on your other 2 teeth, whatever. And I usually drink it with coffee. And like I said, I have a mental health routine in the morning. So I get up, and if it's the day to take medication, I'll take my medication, and then I will go and sit down and meditate for 20 minutes. But when I eat the mushrooms, I have another 30, positive things for a day. So every day I will choose an intention. So the moment I read the intention, I eat the mushroom, I take my coffee, and I kind of just, set it for the day, sit down, meditate, and let the day begin. It's on an app. 30 power words to activate intention settings. So one of the settings is abundance, action, power of action. And I like this one. Like, this one is cool. Like, power phrase is just do it. 1,000-mile journey starts with a single step. Inspire action. Power action, take inspire action, avoid procrastination. Authenticity, balance, power be, clarity, courage, creativity, dream, equanimity, freedom, gratitude, harmony, peace, serenity, health, intuition, joy, laughter, love, money, onus, possibility, power, presence, mindfulness, responsibility. This is one of my favorites. And it says responsibility, power, phrase, life, deliberately, take charge, power to change, power action, commit to inner change, less blame of others, conscious living, share, success, smiles, space, spirituality, wellness. That's 30 right there. Yeah, I just make a ritual of just start on a positive note. And it sounds really cool. Obviously by now I don't think I ever, I don't remember what my intention was in the morning, but again, that's what I do every time that I have to take my medicine. So I make it really spiritual, conscious of I am doing something to help myself in a natural way, and here I go. Like I mentioned, I have struggled with depression or mental illness, especially after I had children. My baby blues kind of never went away. I guess I never really treated my mental health before. When I first, I really took charge of, and I started working on it. Since then, they try to give me chemicals, and I'm very bad. I have a bag that I can share with you all of the names of stuff that I use, but I will tell you that I used it for a couple of months, maybe less. I'm not a fan of chemicals. And because I've been so involved in the medical world, I refuse to take chemistry. I feel like there's a lot of natural things that we can do to help ourselves. To me, there was no doubt for me to stop using the chemicals and going natural. That was just, to me, was an easy transition. I was like, great, yes, I'm all about it. I'd rather do natural than chemicals. There was no second effects like when I had the chemicals, like there was no anxiety, there was no, I'm going crazy, which you're not supposed to use in the mental health world. But, like I just felt like it was an easy transition and it wasn't these changes or big waves of health things that I was doing in my life. When I transitioned to mushroom, it was just like, again, I just felt like I'm taking the happy pill. Sure. And innocent in a way, I had a lot of respect. Like I said, I was just very, follow the rules. Like, I'm going to take this very little and, see how it goes. And I keep it that way. So, and I don't think that I will ever go back to chemicals. My friend was very kind. She's been growing for a long, long time. So she gave me this whole yard. It was full. I started, and I'll tell you exactly, it was October 28th. And the day, I remember because I became an American citizen that day. And the day before I saw her. So that's where she gave me this. So it's going to, it's almost 9 months. I'm horrible at math, as you can see, but, it has lasted a long, long time. That's the interesting part. For me, microdosing is like, I don't feel anything. I don't feel any different, but it's just, again, like meditation or, like, I don't feel like, oh, meditation has changed my life, but I have feel how in certain ways, I'm more at ease. I'm more calm. I'm more cool and collected. Again, it's not that, woo, like I will you smoke weed and you automatically feel that, high. With this, I don't feel any different. I feel the same, and it's just, again, I just notice it within very settled things. Like I'm not as on edge anymore, or like I'm less prone to get angry or, cry. I still have all of that, but it's just it's less right now is more like just maintaining my mood. I mean, obviously I have ups and downs. I still, of course, struggle with hormones. And so my hormones kick in, and that's when, my really affects my mental health too. But again, it's been a long process of just really taking note. The other thing what I started doing with my psychiatrist, he helped me a lot, which I'm still relentlessly doing, but taking notes of my mood every day. And then I started putting star on the days that I will, do the mushrooms and see if I noticed the difference. Again, I don't. And as I explained to you, I enjoy my beer, I enjoy my weed, and I can notice, like I have a couple of, or, if you have more than 2 drinks, you start feeling it and you're like, with mushrooms, it's like I take the same, doesn't really do anything to me immediately. And like I said, I take it in the morning like medication, and I just go right into my daily activity. And again, I don't feel like a buzz or feel like, ooh, I feel enlightening. Like nothing. It's the same. It's just more of a mental, if you would, like, because I do my little ritual or my ceremony about it. But because I try to do my meditation every day, it's just that when I add the mushrooms, it's just the mushrooms are there. It's really hard for me to tell, like, oh, today I took the mushroom. I definitely feel like so much happier, or like, oh, I didn't take my mushroom today. Totally bummer. I'm not a happy camper. The way they explain it to me, how it lasts, for 2 days. And so medication. So it takes one whole day to absorb in your body. And then by the next day it's coming out, and then you have the new doses. And so, it kind of overlaps. So but again, I cannot tell the difference in the day that I did or the day I didn't. So it was an interesting tryout to not do it for a week. And then I really noticed. I went on vacation to see my parents in Mexico, and I did take one, but I was just like going. There was no time to sit and do a century, it was like get up, and I was sleeping with my kids and my mom, and it was just very crowded. There was no time for ceremony, so I just kind of like forget it. I'm not even going to. But when I was coming back, I just realized, I was like, you haven't taken your medication, and I'm definitely more at edge, can feel it on my body, just in general. I started feeling more blue and more depressed and having negative thoughts about it. Yeah, in general, doing a lot of work. I've been taking this class. It's also inner matrix. So it's like think positive, do all this, do this breathing, do this meditation, so I'm diligent about really improving. And as much as, I was doing everything and something is off. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if it's really now the magic mushrooms that are missing in action. And that I'm noticing again that, my mental health took a little toll, like I was like down. I have to be honest, I'm not perfect. It's not that I feel happy, 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 happy. No, not at all. But again, I'm just doing anything I can to keep up at, on a happy level or in a good place. Come to the grand realization that you just have to be content. I could say like sugar, like the sugar pill. I don't know if it's making a difference or it's just that I'm taking it and I feel just because I took it, I feel happier, very settled. I think it's part of I'm definitely improving or I'm in a good spot. And I like that, like I don't want to be up and down. And again, it's really hard to manage sometimes just because my hormones are horrible. And so when hormones kick in, I'm so off. And then I'm like, I'm so grateful I'm taking my mushrooms because then it will be worse. I just feel that way. So right now as you see, I am at the very bottom and I'm like, and that's something that the psychiatrist recommended. You're doing this and it's working out. Don't stop without, really having a plan B because you might take a really big dive again. So just be conscious of that. She's like, it's just like medication. Your system is used to it now or, has created this. And so you're feeling better, probably keep taking them, because if you go away, you might take a dive into the negative, into the dark side. So the chemicals, like I said, I tried to start again last year in August for like a month and then I stopped and never went back. And I have no desire of trying them or doing something with them. And when my psychiatrist says, he's like, I will be happy to prescribe anything that you, well, not anything, but like something, a medication that I feel like will be good for you. But if you're doing this naturally, I suggest you stick with it. Like I mentioned, I'm Mexican and from Mexico City. So the Aztecs are, our ancestors. And there's a lot of shamans and, the brujas and brujos, they just really use natural stuff. Just embrace that out of my culture and honor the earth. I am one of those, even if I'm not on mushrooms or on anything. I live in the mountains, so I hug trees. I'm always, honoring the rivers, taking care of our earth. So it is a ceremony to me to honor the earth that can help me get in balance. We're part of one, if you would, So to me, the mushrooms is part of the earth. It's part of the natural kingdom, and it goes back to my body and it goes out the same way to, through love, through our connection with others. The friend I keep telling you, they started a church about mushrooms. And so their community is eating the mushrooms and getting all together. And it's a place for people to talk about their mental problems and help each other and create this harmony of getting better with the mushrooms. I took this from them. She mentioned this, and I thought it was really, really cool that they had this ceremony about it and they saw it as a respectful thing, or I don't know how to put it, as a ceremony is something that you want to honor. And the country, I feel like, and they are all Caucasians, my friends are all Caucasians outside Castle Rock. I think that's where they are. I really admire that side of things. Just like you said, it's not just a bunch of white people getting high on mushrooms and running around naked. It was much more of a community to help each other and honor the earth to get better in your mental health. I was a little conscious. First of all, he was tremendous. He gave me a lot of trust. Being in the field, I was like, you have to be able to talk to your doctor. If you can't talk to your doctor, you're toast. I mean, how are you going to get better? I just kind of planted the seed and I asked him, I was like, have you heard of this? And he's like, yes, but they're not legal. I'm like, do you have any suggestions? And he was very reserved. He's like, I'm not really in a position to say, but tell me about it. And so as I keep sharing with him, he got more warmer about it, if you would. He's like, yes, there has been a lot of studies, and I have other colleagues in other states that they're using it slowly. And he did say, he's like, I am really curious that you're doing it. And, I would love to keep in touch with you and, keep me updated. But again, I don't want to lose my job. And that's how we, kept it. He is very open-minded too. I just trusted him. I was like, I'm doing this. I just want your opinion. I had a lot of reassurance when he said that to me. He's like, I will just keep doing what you're doing. And coming from a medical person, that really, again, I had a lot of respect. My girlfriend that introduced me to me, she's a nurse. My other friend that introduced me to her friend is a PA. So they're all in the medical field. And that, I'm not just talking to anybody. These people are prepared. They're educated. They have gone to school. They have done their work. Being honest, as you can tell, I'm not a very shy person. I just really wanted to help myself. I don't really, advertise it. I do Reiki, and my friend is from Brazil, and she's, all about natural. So she prized me. She's like, I'm so happy you're doing that. It's so important, and it's so, all of her remedies are, of course, out of herbs and out of natural oils. And so she's like, if you cannot use chemicals, is the best thing that you can do for your body. So it's the opposite. There's pushback on the Latino community just because we're not as educated, if you would. So whatever we don't know, we're intimidated, we're scared. So we say no. I hang out a lot with Caucasians. I embrace being in this country and having the freedom to try different things. And so, no, I haven't felt any pushback on like, well, you shouldn't because you're Latino. Exactly the opposite. I'm like, that's why I want to do this study. I was like, yes, I want to bring to my culture. I mean, this is who we are. This is really our ancestors getting better with mushrooms and other plants, not necessarily to go crazy out and about. It's just more for medicine purposes. Like most of my Latino friends will not smoke marijuana. That is something that is like, oh no, like, very. And so and that's the stereotype. Like if you do marijuana and do mushrooms, you obviously do cocaine, and so you do heroin and you do the whole thing, and it goes down in that, way, if you would. And unless these my Latino friends are more educated or they're experiencing other things, but even the ones that are educated are very conservative, is the word. They're very conservative. And if it's not by the doctor, and of course it's against the religion, that's another, big no, 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 it's against God. And just I respect that. I'm just different. But again, I don't go out and tell my friends, oh, by the way, I will be more at ease to talk to my Caucasian friends about mushrooms than to my Latino friends about it because of their very judgmental. Absolutely. Having options is a great thing in life. I feel like the pharmaceutical world, it's a business. In my very humble personal opinion, is they don't have the best interest for our health. That in mind to me is like, this is natural. And like I explained earlier, it comes from the earth. It's better than coming from a lab. If Latinos were more educated, and when I say educated is, commercial marketing, having Latinos really gone through this process and being like, it's not bad for you, it's just a medication. It would be great to educate our culture about it. Yes and no. You touched something very interesting that, one of the reasons that I live in this country is, there's different options that you can start a business and grow it. Capitalism, it's great to have that. I do fear that, they might do it like right now, the weed stores are growing and they're like super big, but at the end is like, I don't feel they're not pushing it down your throat. I don't see that they're like everywhere marketing or like, I mean, they're growing because people enjoy it, buy it, and they're good at what they do. With the mushrooms, I hope they start, selling it at the mushroom stores or the weed stores. But it's just like marijuana. Like if you go to a dispensary, they will, ask you, what are you looking for? It's not like you want to get high, it's like, I feel I suffer from this. I want to do this. And, people are knowledgeable and they can recommend stuff. So I feel like, hey, you go to the vitamin store and they're like, oh, this vitamins help for this and this and this. Same with, natural remedies. What are we going to like gang up on, like vitamin cottage because they're selling vitamins, and they're not chemical. So that's how I look at it. So no, I don't see any problem or, with same with marijuana when they legalize it, it's like, oh, our state is gonna go crazy. People are gonna come here. And yeah, a lot of people came. There's a lot of, people moving here, but I don't see people acting crazy on the streets or, like I have noticed that, oh my gosh, it's noticeable that people are high these days. Like, no, same with mushrooms. I'm assuming it's going to be the same way. They legalize it and start putting in the store. People that want to do it are going to do it. And I hope responsibly, but it's not that we're going to see people on mushrooms, high on mushrooms all the time, or like same with like marijuana, people use it and they do it recreationally, they do it medical. Sometimes you hear about it, sometimes you don't hear about it. But again, it's not like, oh my God, you see everybody on the mountain, they look higher today, or like, no. My recommendation would be watching the Netflix movie about mushrooms. There's a couple of documentaries. I also, will refer them to my friends. She has a YouTube channel and she talks about it. Basically, don't be afraid. That will be my first go-to. So it's definitely not like smoking marijuana. It's not like you're gonna get high out of microdosing. Of course, if you do it in a big chunk, of course you're gonna feel it. But if you're microdosing, you don't have to be afraid that won't be able to get up, or you're gonna be laughing hysterically, or you're gonna start seeing elephants around you. Like, no, zero being afraid. Thank you. Thank you for your powers. Thank you for helping me being a better being every day. Thank you for, existing. Thank you for Mother Earth. Thank you.